Welcome to Getting Our Reward Heads Together, the podcast for reward and HR leaders brought to you by Reward Heads. Each episode we explore the ideas, challenges and innovations shaping how organisations design, deliver and talk about reward. We're a boutique consultancy creating bespoke solutions for our clients, but we'll tell you more about that after the episode. For now, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Victoria Milford, CEO at Reward Heads, and today I'm joined by Rewards Head Senior Consulting Manager, Jannine Smith, to discuss Generation Alpha and what their arrival means for reward and HR professionals. As someone who is both a reward professional and the mother of two Generation Alpha boys, I can tell you their worldview and expectations are genuinely different from ours. Hi, Jannine.
Hi, Victoria. As you know, my boys have just gone off to uni, so they're at the tail end of Gen Z. And it's really interesting to see what their expectations are, never mind the group that follows. Gen Alpha is such a fascinating topic for reward professionals. These are the young people born from 2010 onwards who are just starting to enter our workforce. And early insights suggest that they're going to have some pretty bold expectations. If you think about it, their formative years have been shaped by uncertainty from COVID, the pandemic, to global conflict and economic volatility. And this has created a generation with very different priorities.
Absolutely. And what's particularly interesting, I think, is how they've grown up as true digital natives. So we're talking about a generation where Ofcom data shows that 1 in 5 toddlers have smartphones. And by the age of 12, pretty much all of them do. It's completely normal for them. So, Jannine, when we think about the key trends that will define Generation Alpha in the workplace, what stands out to you?
Well, I guess it's probably important to say that we're not stereotyping here, but we really do need to understand the diversity in our workforce. So let me start with that big one then. They genuinely are digital first in a way that even millennials and Gen Z aren't. Tech fluency isn't just helpful to them, it's an absolute non-negotiable. They've grown up with touchscreens, AI, and instant access to information. So they really expect intuitive, seamless digital tools that work. No clunky systems or workarounds for them. And immediacy is such a big part of their lives. Waiting for things isn't really a concept that they're used to. I guess another thing is that they'll expect flexibility. So they very much see remote and hybrid working as a standard, definitely not as a perk. Remember, when they've grown up, they've already experienced home study from the pandemic, and they've seen work from home and study from home as fairly much a norm for a while. This creates a real challenge for us when we see more and more organisations implementing back to the office mandates right now.
Yeah, that's such an important point about that flexibility, isn't it? It's one that's very close to my heart, and it's a real tenet of Reward Heads. I do wonder if my boys think that all employers let people choose their place and time of work as we do. And it extends beyond just where they work, doesn't it? The research is showing that they want control over their entire work environment.
Exactly. They want custom workplaces. It's not just about necessarily choosing their tools, but they might want to design their desk setup too. Certainly the days of sitting in identical pods in an office is long gone, with people wanting stand-up desks or indeed even sitting on yoga balls. And in addition to all of that, they want control over their benefit packages. There's also this entrepreneurial spirit. It's influenced largely by social media and self-starters. Everybody wants to be an influencer these days. So they're likely to lean towards project-based, self-directed work, and they'll expect machines or AI to handle the more basic stuff.
So here I am sitting on my yoga ball, and as soon as I bought mine, my boys asked for one for their workstations, where they're doing their studying. So we're definitely setting a trend there, I think. I was just thinking what you were saying about the mental health and well-being aspects. I think they're really big too, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we have a survey that we were looking at from Benenden Health that showed some really telling statistics.
Yeah, Victoria, the numbers are really striking. I mean, Believe it or not, among 18 to 34-year-olds, 45% had taken time off work for mental health issues. And if you compare that to 39% of those aged between 35 to 54, and only 29% of those aged over 55. And I think we need to be aware that this is a trend that looks like it's set to continue with Gen Alpha. I guess what's really interesting is that 77% of the Gen Alpha respondents think it's important that their future workplace offers them mental health support. And in fact, 19% rated this as one of the most important criteria when they're thinking about their future job. They're very much growing up in a world where they have more social awareness and they're looking to expect inclusive, emotional, intelligent leadership.
And there's the neurodiversity aspect too, isn't there? The same Benenden survey found that almost half, so 47%, want to work for employers that support neurodivergent employees. And while only 15% identified as potentially neurodivergent themselves, 57% have a friend who's neurodivergent, and 1 in 3 have a family member who is.
Thanks, Victoria. I think that really shows how their perspective on inclusion is shaped by their real life experience. They're not just thinking about diversity as a concept, it's part of their everyday reality.
Sustainability and ethics are other non-negotiables for them, aren't they? I feel like we're using the term non-negotiable a lot, and I wonder if that really describes this population, that things that we would have accepted when we started work are just not acceptable these days. And sustainability and ethics would absolutely be part of that.
Oh, absolutely. I think Gen Alpha will favour organisations that have, for example, strong environmental policies, ethical practices in how they deal with their people or even the wider world. They want purpose-driven work. They want to contribute to something meaningful. They don't just want to clock on and receive a payslip. I think recent research showed that 46% said that they want a job that aligns with their own values.
So what does all this mean for reward professionals then? So at Reward Heads, we describe total reward as everything someone gets from their employer. So that's not just pay and bonus, but it's things like engagement, flexibility, belief in leadership, development, wellbeing, and so on.
Brilliant. So here's a little bit of good news. Many of those areas you just described, Victoria, are probably cheaper to deliver than pure pay increases. However, the challenge is that they're not always easy to implement. And they also need to be recognising the differentiation in the workforce, or the diversity. And I guess even more so when you start layering the different generations as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about remuneration specifically then. What are we seeing in terms of Gen Alpha's expectations around pay?
Well, salary still matters, obviously, and remains a number one job requirement. Gen Alpha expect to prioritise more other things like meaningful work, flexibility, and personal growth over that traditional compensation model. The Benenden survey that we've referenced found that 50% agreed that being happier in a job is more important than being paid a lot. They may also favour more flexible earning structures. So thinking about freelancing or gig-based or project-based roles where they offer more autonomy and more varied income streams. Victoria, I know you told me about your boys singing Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 and actually not really understanding what it's all about. Genuinely, that Monday to Friday 9 to 5 model, the traditional way we worked, is completely outdated.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And, maybe we've created that environment here with the flexibility that we have. I think they're going to expect transparent pay structures too. So they've been raised in an era where they have lots of information that they can access. And I think Gen Alpha are going to expect clarity around how salaries are determined and opportunities for progression that, you and I probably didn't expect when we started work.
I think that's a really good point. And I guess we also need to think about what that means for benefits. So I think this is where things get really interesting for us as reward professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. So mental health support is going to be essential, isn't it? Comprehensive wellbeing programs, including access to therapy, mindfulness apps, mental health days. We're just not going to be able to trot out traditional benefits like life insurance and pension and expect them to get excited.
No, you're right. They'll expect benefits tailored to their own lifestyles. And they'll certainly expect digital tools. These could be wellness tools. They'll want flexible schedules, including things like remote working options. Continuous learning will be crucial to them too. And that could be ongoing education, mentorship, and skills development through things like immersive or interactive experiences like VR or gamification. Sustainability incentives that align with their eco-conscious values will resonate deeply for them as well. Things like volunteering time, which is fairly common, or more unusual things like subsidies for green commuting, for example.
And I think benefits are going to need to reflect a commitment to fairness across all demographics. So I think I'm going to use that non-negotiable word again. It feels like inclusive policies are going to be non-negotiable. So, Jannine, given all of that, I suspect everybody's hugely overwhelmed and their heads are spinning. What should employers be doing right now to prepare?
Yeah, so much to take in. So let's try and narrow it down and focus on 5 key areas. Firstly, I think being transparent about pay and how it's set and how everybody is rewarded. This isn't just about following the legislation. It's about setting out how someone can move within their pay range. We're talking to clients more and more constantly about the fact that there actually is no one right answer to this. It often is very specific to each individual organisation.
And flexibility is crucial too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Offer flexible working models in both time and place because that Gen Alpha value autonomy and work-life balance. This means they're really thinking about how each employee can be most productive and what roles have barriers to flexible working, and then thinking about how each of those barriers can be overcome. I guess the third point is prioritising well-being. Mental and emotional health are top priorities for this cohort, but it's not all about just giving them a load of apps. Working with experts and making sure you've got benefits that really meet the specific needs of this group of employees, and then spending time on making sure they're communicated well, understood and used.
Yeah, and the ethical practices point is important too, isn't it? This influences their loyalty.
Yeah, exactly. Things like taking a good hard look at your gender pay gap action plan. Is it really helping to close your gap? And are you looking at things like characteristics around ethnicity, disability, social mobility? And if not, ask yourself, how could you collect that data and analyse it and then take action? I guess finally, enabling choice or personalisation in your benefits, because certainly with this generation, one size will not fit all.
It really is an exciting time, isn't it? Thinking about what the next generation wants from us as employers, never mind us as parents. Gen Alpha are going to be in the workforce before we know it, aren't they? And they do have many similarities to Gen Z who are already here.
Yes, absolutely. I guess for all of us, now is the time to act and prepare. Organisations that start thinking about these changes now will be those who are best positioned to attract and retain this new talent that's coming into our workforce shortly.
Yes, and of course the Reward Heads team would love to support organisations in this area. We help clients understand what their employees want, what's possible in the market, and how to ensure wise investment with good returns. And that's across all populations. And I think sort of overlaying this insight about Gen Alpha is going to be really useful. So you can reach us at rewardsolutions@rewardheads.co.uk, or either of us directly at victoria@rewardheads.co.uk or Jannine@rewardheads.co.uk, or through our LinkedIn page.
Brilliant. Thanks, Victoria. It's been great discussing this topic. And to be fair, Gen Alpha are definitely going to keep us all on our toes.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Jannine, and thanks to everyone for listening.
Thanks for listening to Getting Our Reward Heads Together, brought to you by Reward Heads. We're a boutique reward consultancy working with organisations across the UK and beyond. Our mission is to help HR and reward leaders design fair, engaging and effective reward frameworks and solutions, from pay and benefits to recognition and governance. Every solution we create is bespoke, built around each client's unique goals and challenges. We also offer coaching, resourcing and trusted forums to keep you connected to the latest reward trends. If we can support your reward journey, we'd love to hear from you.